What's going on, guys? YGL 2010 here. Today I'm bringing you guys a deck profile of the deck I played at regionals. And the reason why I'm using this picture is because for some reason DN keeps disconnecting me. And this is like my 5th time trying to make this video. So I just decided to take a screenshot and I'm just going to use this and explain everything. I didn't do too well this past weekend. I didn't start losing until after round 6. And because it was so late, you know, my losses just hurt me so bad, and I would have preferred to have lost earlier on like all my other opponents did, because somebody that I beat in first round got his top, which, you know, I hate the way that tiebreakers are done in Yu-Gi-Oh! I just think that the whole matching system is kind of dumb to begin with, but that's another time, another story. The deck, this is the most consistent version of Geargia's that I've seen or played with or against. The person I played first round had a mirror match. He ran Karakuri Geargia's, and that right-timed Valor actually hurt him more than that Max C would have had I had another one 2-side in. First off, we got 3 accelerators, then we got 3 Geargia arsenals, 2 Geargiano Mark IIs. That's, as Jarrell Winston said, tour guide from the machine world. You just summon that special Geargia arsenal, use his effect, special back Geargiano Mark II, and from there your rank 3 exceeds are opened up to you. Then you got 3 Geargia armor, 1 Karakuri strategist, 2 Karakuri watchdogs, 1 Gores, 2 effect Valor, 1 Maxi, 2 mystical space typhoon, 1 heavy storm, 1 pot of avarice, 1 dark hole, 1 reborn, 1 book of moon, 1 forbidden lance, 2 bottomless trap hole, 1 solemn judgment, 1 starlight road, 2 solemn warning, 3 dimensional prison, 2 mirror force, 2 compulsory, and 1 torrential tribute. For the extra deck, I had 1 effect Valor, 1 kinetic soldier, side deck, sorry, 2 Thunder King, 2 goes in match, 2 soul drain, 1 shadow imprisoning, 2 noble mana crossout, 1 closed forest, 2 system down, and the 3rd mystical space typhoon. And for the extra, I had 1 shockmaster, 2 gear gigants, 1 maestroke, 1 utopia, 1 zen mains, 1 soul of silver mountain, 1 tempo, 1 roach, 1 photon papal operative, 1 black rose, 1 beret, 1 beredo, 1 scrap dragon, and 1 stardust. The main deck, I kind of liked it. There was really like no issues I had with it over the weekend for inconsistency or anything, because, you know, once I get out Geargia armor, that's it. You know, I search out the 3 accelerators, get a Karakuri tuner, and then I go off from there. And that's what the traps are for, in my opinion. They just, you know, control the field and make sure that you keep presence while getting rid of your opponent's stuff at the same time, you know, for when you can go off and they'll have used up their resources trying to go card for card with you. For the side deck, there are a few things that I would have liked to change out. The first one would probably be the system downs. The reason I decided to put 2 system downs in was a last minute decision. It was because I could not find Royal Decrees. No vendors had them, no players had them, none of my friends had them with them. They all left them at home conveniently, and I had to think on my toes of what could I put in that would still be, you know, decent out of the side deck stuff that I had available to me. And the first card I saw was System Down, and I did happen to side it in against my first round matchup against the mirror match, but I didn't see it. The card I did see was Thunder King Ryo, and that, you know, sealed game 3 in for me. Everything else in the side deck I pretty much liked. At the start of the day, I was kind of sad that I couldn't find a second Maxi to put in this side deck, and I put in the 3rd Valor. But actually, that Valor helped me against windups. because the guy that I played game 3, I saw that third Valor, and had I had Max C in that instance, he would have still won because we were in time, and he had a wind up rat. I dropped the Valor, and he wasn't 600 points is not strong enough to. It wasn't strong enough to get me lower than him. On my next turn, it would have been the last turn, and if it were Max C, he would have been able to exceed in the acid golem, and it would have been game right there. But the Valor stopped all that, and had it been Max C from that moment on, I was happy that it was the Valor. The other thing that I probably would change is the kinetic soldier for a puppet plant, because I played heroes, I believe it was round 7, and kinetic soldier, it was okay because he wasn't expecting it, because he was like just dead on sure that it was Geargia armor, and so he just waited and waited until he got his double miracle playoff with 2 shinings at 3800, at which point I was like, okay, it'll help me. Then he normal summoned Thunder King, and I was just like, I tried to play the bottomless on the Thunder King, and I know it was a misplay. I should have played it on one of the shinings, but when I look back at it, had I played it on the shining, it would have ran over my kinetic soldier. And the Thunder King, he played Lance on it. Surprisingly, I was just like, I didn't know hero players ran Lance, but he attacked with his shining, and my kinetic soldier's defense jumped up to 38, so nothing happened, and he couldn't kill it with Ryle that turn, so I was safe for that turn. But just the fact that the deck that I mainly put it in the side deck for can still, compete with it or run it over with their Thunder type T-King, I feel like Puppet Plant would have done a little bit more damage, but not necessarily in that situation, just overall. I really like the goes in matches in the side. Soul Drain, I actually used that a lot less than I did Shadow Imprisoning, because I would see the Soul Drain, and unfortunately I'd have to pay 1,000 to activate it, and it would do the work that I wanted it to do. But Shadow Imprisoning is just, it's free, and the reason I put in a Shadow Imprisoning over the third Soul Drain was because my friend was playing Ninja Inzectors, and he caught everybody off guard by doing that, because it was just, he had field control with super art, or he could just, activate regular art of transformation and bring out Brain Crusher, which is a watered down version of Goyo Guardian. And because he is the main reason I did that, because I saw, some people were talking about it while I was walking around trying to get the rest of my side and extra deck together. And I'm glad that last minute decision came in handy, because again, all 3 of my Dark World matchups, the Shadow Imprisoning just shut them down. They didn't have the answer, the MST, they didn't have anything for it. And had I not went into time against my third Dark World matchup, I would have won again, because his Trance Archfiend, it didn't get him anything back. And I had a T-King up, he had a Leviair, but I was turn 5, and he was up by 1,500, so I couldn't, I had to offer the handshake on that one, which was, of course, upsetting, because all my matches that were lost were in time. But another day, another time, maybe I'll get it. I really like the Noble Mana cross out. I sided that against Geargia mirror match, and against the 1 Watt player that I played against, who was slow playing, but it was ruled that he wasn't, because his turns were taking not as long as I made it seem, but it's whatever. For the extra deck, I kind of like the extra deck, but the thing I would probably take out would be the Steel Swarm Roach and put in a second Beret Doe, because I needed the draw power. Searching is nice, but people always would drop the Valor on the Geargia armor, and at which point I would have a synchro to go into. It would either be a second Beret Doe for the draw power, or either a Catastor, because Catastor would have, alleviated a lot of stress against that Watt player, because I had the Veiler in hand, but I can't target while he has the Watt Hopper lock on the field. So a lot of my 3D prisons were dead and my Book of Moon were dead. So game 3 I sided out 2D prison and the Book of Moon, and tried to just put in stuff that I thought would hurt his deck. But like I said, we went to time, and had I had the Catastrophe, I would have shut down a whole lot of stuff, and probably would have got rid of that time extension that the guy was having, thinking about what move he could make, or either slow playing. So those would probably be the changes that I would have made. But the regionals itself was kind of poorly organized. The past few years at Charlotte regionals, it's been slowly increasing by like 50 or 70 people, and then this past regionals they were only expecting 300 people, and about 470 showed up. So they weren't prepared for that. We had to wait until like 1 o'clock to start round 1 when it was supposed to be started at 10 o'clock, and that's really annoying, knowing that if I wanted to get my top, I had to play until at least 12 o'clock. And I didn't get the top, but I still played till round 9 because I didn't want my tiebreakers for my opponents to be horrible. And my friends that my friend that got the top 48, he had to stay till like maybe 1 o'clock just to sign his papers for his invite to Nats or whatever. And I don't even want to think about what top 8 had to do, how late they had to stay there. It was just really bad. The actual playing itself, I made one misplay that I can recall throughout the whole weekend, and that was when I summoned Geargia Armor with Geargia Arsenal. I forgot to flip it face down, and that was probably the only misplay I had, because even my opponent was looking at me funny, and I was like, oh man, I forgot to do that. But I tested with the deck thoroughly, and the only way I had the deck before the event was on Dueling Network, and that was how I had to play with it. So playing in real life, it was similar, but the simulators on DN are nowhere near the same as shuffling up and playing yourself. All in all, I still think this deck is probably one of the best this format. It has a slightly bad matchup against Dark Worlds game 1, especially if they open up with Drag Down and Mind Crush, which all 3 of my opponents did. But game 2, like, it's always been the same with Dark Worlds. Game 2, if they don't have an answer for your back row, then that's the end of the match. I sided out my hand traps for the Dark Worlds. I only kept in 1 Veiler because all of them ran tour guides, and I sided out pretty heavy for them. Waiting cards, as I call them, like D Prison and Starlight Road, I sided those out, since everything they do is 1 at a time, similar to Inzectors. And I sided in cards that I knew would help, like the Soul Drains and the T-King and the 3rd MST, since when they play the Drag Down, they put their whole hand that's spelling traps on the field, and that's just saying, hey, destroy me because I'm bluffs. And my hero matchup, he was playing Bubble Beat, so I decided to put in 1 goes in match for him, and surprisingly it actually helped out game 2. He won game 1 barely, and then game 2 he summoned Stratos, Search Bubble, set his whole hand, and Special Bubble Man. And at that point I flipped over to goes in match, and he had to send the bubble to grave because he couldn't do anything, and I had an armor face down, and it was nothing he could do at that point. So goes in is definitely a good card in the side. And like I said, system downs, those were like a last minute decision. I would have loved to play Royal Decree, but I couldn't find any. Nobody had any, no vendors, nobody. But I didn't even see it the whole weekend every time I sided it. All in all, I like the deck. I'm gonna probably change it up a little bit after test playing with it. I feel like Birdman would actually help out. I'm trying to find a spot to put one in because I've seen, plays with it where, you special Geargia accelerator, pop it back to hand, bring out Birdman, then you just go off from there. And I kind of like that, but it would make me change up my whole extra deck, like rethink everything. I would definitely need another Beret and another Beredo. And that one Lance, like Jarrell Winston said on his video, that one Lance actually put in a lot of work. When they flip their torrents or their dark holes or whatever, I sacrificed 800 points from one of my synchros, to keep them up. And that put in some work. But he had a good idea when he decided to take this deck to that YCS. And I just, piggybacked on it a little bit. Alright, let me know what you guys think of the deck. And if you were at regionals, let me know what you guys played. Alright, YGO out.